Previously on Millennial Milquetoast.
How's the video going? You got all of these tapes in the last year? You've got to stop. Tape death. He's found us. He's found you. Listen, the only way you can be saved is if you make the video. I gotta go.
So that is my stock for the year 2024. And now, the continuation. Hauls are just the spoils of a hunt. So when I go out thrifting, if I get a really good haul, sometimes it's really exciting. And I've seen some amazing hauls that other VHS collectors, Laserdisc collectors, and so on have posted. And it's always been something really cool to me. And so I wanted to share some of the, spoils of my hunts. The reason I'm doing it this way is I've actually arranged these hauls in order of awesomeness. I do know the specific places that I got some of these tapes, and so I'm going to try to shout out the places that I got them whenever I can, because I do really love thrift stores, and I appreciate it when they carry the physical media that I love, that I know a lot of places have been incentivized not to carry anymore. At the end of all this, my hope is that I can take all of the stuff that I've marked for my collection and actually organize it into my collection, do a whole reorganization. And this is kind of the first huge step towards doing that. We're going to start with a few kind of just generic ones. Now, I think I got these at a Habitat for Humanity restore. One of my favorite places to go in general is the Habitat for Humanity restores, as far as mainstream chain thrift stores go. Sometimes you just find really good stuff. Sometimes you find absolutely nothing. I got this neat little compilation tape. Usually I don't go for these, but I really liked the artwork. It's a full-length feature. It's America at the Movies, and it features 60, 80 scenes from classic movies. And this is from 1975, apparently, from the American Film Institute. And what I love about this is I might watch this and I might discover some old movies that I really want to watch. Saving Grace, this is just neat. This has Craig Ferguson. I adore Craig Ferguson. So looking forward to catching this early film of his. And then we got Alexander Payne. He did The Holdovers, which was a really good movie, and Election is pretty darn good as well. So, let's see. There's our tapes. There we go, I may as well. And one of the things out of the gate to know is that even though the majority of things are tapes, I am going to have a few other pieces of media. I couldn't resist, everybody enjoys the cheesy Nicolas Cage movies, so I found a reasonably priced copy of Drive Angry, which I never saw. I got a Blu-ray copy of Hot Tub Time Machine. This is my partner's, one of her favorite movies of all time, and so I picked that up. Drag Me to Hell. Awesome Sam Raimi film that flies under the radar to a limited extent. I feel like if you like Sam Raimi, you've heard of it. But it's a really good horror film that Sam Raimi made post Spider-Man trilogy and Evil Dead trilogy. It even says it right there, from Sam Raimi, director of Spider-Man and Evil Dead trilogy. Unrated and theatrical, which is nice for a DVD set. Not all of them come this way, and honestly, that was kind of a feature that pivoted over to Blu-ray eventually. Last but not least, we got Cabin in the Woods. Really fun, kind of meta horror film from Drew Goddard. Really fun. There's a meme that is very popular from this. It's Richard Jenkins going, "Who had blank?" And, it's killer bees covered in Mountain Dew swarm interstate, and it'll be Richard Jenkins, and he's who had Mountain Dew bees? Mountain Dew Baja Bees, if you will. Anyway, so really fun. Both of these are fun. And these are also post VHS films. So I'm not going to find them on VHS. I found good quality copies. Moving on. Another haul from one of the Front Range Habitat for Humanities. That is Colorado. The east slope of the Rocky Mountains is called the Front Range. I set this haul aside because it was a really good representation, I think, of a haul from the Habitat for Humanity restore. This is the second one that I've specifically had from the restore, and what I love about this is I find movies, as cinematic as Paris, Texas, starring Harry Dean Stanton, directed by Wim Wenders, or Wim Wenders. I don't know. So pretty cool formal rental. A really beautiful copy of Adam Sandler's Waterboy in one of these clear cases. So some neatos. Then we got Jingle All the Way. I don't have a DVD copy of Final Destination 1, so I picked that bad boy up. In particular, I picked up this copy of Final Destination because I wanted to check out the special features. That's one of the huge boons for me about picking up DVDs, so that goes in the collection. I got Eight-Legged Freaks. It's a pan and scan and it's silly, but I think it will sit beautifully alongside some of my other creature features. And additionally, it says after the movie, Spiderific additional scenes. So they even threw some deleted scenes on this bad boy, because this is a late era VHS. This is 2002. I would say that post PlayStation 2 dropping is what I would describe as late VHS. It's a rather rapid decline in commercial sales of VHS. So this is from right at the beginning of that era, and you can see that they're still treating the format with a little bit of love, giving it some special features. Unfortunately, it is a pan and scan, but them's the breaks. This is a great pull quote, by the way. A real pleasure. Jokes and horror in the tradition of Tremors and Gremlins. That's a pretty fair approximation. I would say it's like Arachnophobia mixed with Tremors, but, maybe comparing it to Arachnophobia is too on the nose. Yeah, this movie's a blast and a half. One of my favorite Spider movies, and David Arquette improvised the line, "Stay back, you eight-legged freaks." And they loved that line so much, that's why it's called Eight-Legged Freaks. And how can you not adore a movie that, that's all I could say. How can you not adore Eight-Legged Freaks? We got Warlock, haven't seen it. Rest in peace to Julian Sands. He passed away around the time that I found this, and it was rather sad. I enjoy hiking and whatnot, and from what I recall, there was something to do with him being out like on a hike or something. So that's unfortunate. This is kind of a goof purchase. This is a Judgment. This is Mr. T in a Left Behind style thriller, like what I guess you could call biblical thrillers, rapture thrillers, and it has Mr. T in it. This was neat. It's just a sealed Rugrats. This is probably going to go to stock and be sold. We got Home Alone 2. I don't think I actually had a copy of it. Home Alone 1 is more common than Home Alone 2. What I'll probably ultimately do, now that I'm thinking about it, is I'll consolidate it with other John Hughes films. I know it's a Christopher Columbus film. I know it's a Chris Columbus film. Don't at me. Okay, I love Chris Columbus. Love him. But it was written and produced by John Hughes. And so it would sit well alongside other Hughes films from 85 to 95, basically. We got Independence Day. I have multiple copies of this. This is one of the most common widescreen VHSs that I come across. This is a good representation of the number of VHSs that are widescreen that I would generally find. It's like 1 out of every 10 or 20 tapes that I find that I ultimately buy is going to be a widescreen one because they are that rare. I am really fond of the first 2 sequel Star Wars films, as well as the 2 prequel ones that were, a blank story, Star Wars, a solo a Star Wars story, and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I thought this was a pretty cool Entertainment Weekly. Shout out to anybody that, I don't know if anybody still subscribes, but a few years back, Entertainment Weekly was the bomb. When I was like a teenager, you would pick it up and they would have so much cool exclusive info about films. And there are times when I find an older one, sometimes it features an article written by the director, the producer, the star. I mean, those are pretty cool if you're into the movie. This haul of tapes came from an Arc on the Front range. It's small, but it's got a couple of unique tapes that I want to point out. The first one is The Lost Boys. This is a great example of those Warner Brothers releases and the design features of their spines that make them so distinct. It says the genre of the film, horror. Then it has the Warner Brothers logo. Then it has the stylized text for the title, along with some of the technical information, along with a preview image for the spine. Return of the Jedi. This is from the 80s. This is one of the copies that you can get that has the unedited version. You got to have your, was it Wubnub? Wubnub. Anyway, you get that. You get that on this tape. Pikachu's Winter Vacation. Cute. Pokemon the first movie. The majority of these are probably going to end up in stock. I was about to leave, and it was only when I grabbed a box that was kind of hidden. And this was the huge find, was a widescreen copy of Blade on VHS. This baby, this is for the collection. There were a few instances where I bought movies brand new. One notable example was when I heard that Best Buy was scaling back their Blu-ray sales like almost completely. I dropped into a local Best Buy and perused what was left of their physical media section, and it was still decently sized, but it was definitely sparse. And one of the movies I found that I did not have a copy of was The Mist, with both its theatrical cut and its black and white theatrical cut, I believe. I don't think that it actually changes the edit of the film aside from its color. It's pretty cool. As far as sets go, it's got a lot of special features, and I was pretty excited to get it. And it was, for me, kind of a parting purchase. I knew that I probably wasn't going to be going to Best Buy to pick up a movie maybe ever again. Additionally, speaking of people stopping sales, or their operations in this case, Redbox went out of business. And when I found out that the machines were going to be shutting down in a few days, I checked out a Redbox at a local King Soopers. I thought about which movie would be a fun one to buy from Redbox. What a lot of people may not remember is you could actually buy Redbox films. And one of the neat things that I really respected about them was if you just neglected to return a movie, eventually they just sold you the movie. And I ended up getting this absurd film, and it cost like $3. That is definitely a made direct-to-video type film, and it's called Lizard People: The Truth About Reptilians. And there's a UFO on the cover with the White House behind it. It's from 2023, Alchemy Works. I've never heard of the Works, spelled with an E, mind you. I have not watched it yet, but I tried to think of a movie that was quintessentially Redbox. I think that I succeeded. These are just odds and ends right here. Okay, so we got a Budweiser display. Here we go. Okay, it's got the little Budweiser sign. It's got the chameleons. It's got the frogs. There's all three frogs are there. It's difficult to see. There's one hiding. This is adorable, and if you know, you know. There are marketing campaigns, and then there are marketing campaigns, and there is almost nothing like the type of vertical integration and synergy that you saw in 1990s mass media marketing, and one of the pinnacles of that era is the Budweiser frogs. So Star Trek Voyager, my absolute jam as of late. This was the most recent Star Trek show I managed to watch the entirety of, and I adore Captain Janeway. She is the bomb. I always felt like she was a little bit playful, like Captain Kirk, and had this sense of wonder. But then she also had the like discipline and gravitas of both Picard and Sisko. The writers were just cooking, you know, when they cultivated her personality from all of the different lessons that they learned writing the characters that preceded her. Or at least that's how I kind of view it. Love Captain Janeway. We're starting to get into some of the more high quality stuff. Don't want to belittle the stuff that I've already gone through, but some of those finds weren't particularly rare. But now we're going to start getting into some of the stuff that's a little bit more rare. Case in point, we got that Warner Brothers imprint with the tag adult drama on Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. And this is a gorgeous copy of this film. That was a huge find. And much the same. It is not every day that I see a really nice older copy of the Goonies. You got to keep in mind a lot of these movies are for kids, and so kids watched the heck out of them. You know, they ended up under their bed, on the floor, stepped on, in the sun, all that stuff. We got some cut boxes. These would be great for crafting or for lights, and they're actually all bangers. That's why I got them. We got Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. We got Point Break, and everybody, I love Point Break. Everybody knows my opinion on Point Break. I brought it up in my second video. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. I go on a whole diatribe about Patrick Swayze. And then we got a movie that I find all the time that I just cannot pass up. It's Star Trek Insurrection. Jonathan Frakes, much ignored or maligned follow-up to Star Trek First Contact. I adore this film. I think that it's a blast and a half, and it's easily the second best TNG film. And it's got this beautiful shiny case, and it came as a blue tape. All of them are blue tapes, and then oh, this is good. We got a Galaxy of Savings, and we got a whole ass Star Trek credit card one could acquire in order to acquire more Star Trek memorabilia. You know, paperback copy of A Stitch in Time, for example. All right. Which is on my hunt list. I'm always looking for A Stitch in Time by Andrew Robinson. Last but not least, we got these cool, clear clamshells again. On this one, I still know what you did last summer. Yeah, that's about it. Indiana Jones 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Now, I had avoided acquiring a copy of this for a long time, and then I think at some point, around when I saw Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny, I started to really want to go back and rewatch it, and I figured it was definitely filmed in the high def era, and so I wanted to get a Blu-ray copy of it rather than a DVD. It's also just really gorgeous. It's got this shiny holographic print to it That's just really well done. Also, kind of a Spielbergian in its own way. Universal Studios, the official pictorial guide to Universal Studios. What's really amazing about this is from 1993, and I struggle to remember the exact timing, but this is well within striking distance of when I was a child and I visited Universal Studios when I went on a road trip. And we went on a lot of these rides, and it just amazes me looking at this. Particularly Back to the Future, the ride. One of the Blu-rays that I bought almost immediately when I switched over to Blu-ray as my prestige format was the 30th anniversary Steelbook release of the Back to the Future trilogy, and it actually has Back to the Future, the ride as a special feature on it. It is top 5 my favorite physical media things that I own. Here's Earthquake. I went on Earthquake with my mom. I remember that. I remember the water coming through the ceiling and going against the subway. Additionally, I think King Kong is somewhere. Jaws. I went on the Jaws ride. Like I said, there's a lot of Spielbergian stuff because, the man was huge with Universal. So many films were done by Spielberg through Universal Studios. So anyway, this is an amazing find, and I paid $5 for it, and it cracks me up. I actually paid $4.99, and down on the corner it says $4.95, so it has not lost its value either. It's still maintaining. I actually was able to figure out where I got this Universal book, and I want to shout them out. It was Omnia Vintage Thrift and Collectibles. This is in Longmont. Really cool place. I've bought records there. I've bought a couple tapes, couple DVDs, and I've also bought this. So they're a really good independent thrift store, and those are kind of diminishing in number. Porky's 3, Porkys Revenge. Fantastic. Not the best Porky's film, not the second best Porky's film, but a Porky's film, and one of the decent ones. I mean, I've never seen Porky's 4 or 5 or what have you. Porky's 2 is a very underrated sequel. It's called Porky's 2 The Next Day, and it's got some subject matter. You watch that movie and you trust me, you'd be a little surprised. It plays pretty fast and loose, but it makes some points. Porky's Revenge makes fewer points, and it kind of goes back to the raunchiness, and it doesn't really aim for the same level of social commentary that Porky's 1 and 2 are so good at. But nonetheless, it's a pretty fitting cap to the trilogy. You have our heroes once again going toe-to-toe with the patriarchal, Dixie, business tycoon of his southern town. And, they give him what for. It's pretty fun. As far as a cap. It's not much better than that, though. If you don't like the first Porky's, don't watch Porky's The Next Day. And if you don't like Porky's The Next Day, don't watch Porky's Revenge. Okay, I talked about this RCA imprint, how cool it is. I just want to emphasize that again. We were looking at that Pulse movie of mine here. Let's put it here. Okay, you can see Willow. It just so happens that this is a perfect movie for this type of border. So it pops pretty well. And if you look on the side, it also has that red border, but in very courteous fashion, almost like a precursor to the reversible sleeve. They had the kindness to make a side of it not RCA video specific. So you could put it on your wall and not have that imprint pop out, or you could and put it with others in that imprint. I just appreciate that. We got Star Trek Generations. I adore this movie. I was just gassing up Insurrection, but this is easily my third favorite TNG film. Star Trek Generations is a blast. It's got a lot of great lines. What can I say? I adore Patrick Stewart. Got the awesome picture of him, always keeping me company in my videos. Sir Patrick Stewart. He's making bald people look cool every day, and I'm here for it. And I try to meet that energy. Panic Room. Now this is pretty freaking cool. I did not know it, but David Fincher, much like Steven Spielberg, kind of pushed a little harder than many other directors with commercial clout to get widescreen releases of his films. I did not realize this until I picked up a copy of Seven and discovered it was widescreen, and I'll run into that in one of the other hauls. But I picked up this copy of Panic Room, which also late VHS. This is very late. This is what, 2002? Yeah, it's 2002. So the PlayStation 2 is already out. People are playing GTA 3 on it. Kids are asking for DVDs because they have a DVD player in their room now. And David Fincher says to the studio, he says to Columbia TriStar, you can release it on VHS. And then this is a Hollywood video copy. This cracks me up. You can release it on VHS, but I want it to be in its appropriate aspect ratio. It says, this film has been modified and is presented in aspect ratio of approximately 1.78.1. The black bars bordering the top and bottom of the screen are normal for this format. Does not say widescreen anywhere on the tape. I've discovered that this is like, sometimes that's how discreet widescreen releases were, which didn't do the format any favors. I have a number of these. I've showed them off before. I think I showed off my Vertigo. It's got that holographic border. This is a widescreen copy of Liar Liar, one of Jim Carrey's absolute best 90s comedies. And it's just an immaculate, beautiful copy. And who would have thought? Widescreen copy of Liar Liar. All right, I consolidated all the DVDs and Blu-rays, and I wanted to go through them. We got Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, Joaquin Phoenix, Philip Seymour Hoffman. We got a copy of Silence of the Lambs, just a really nice DVD copy of it with a lot of special features. 20 minutes of deleted scenes. And there's an entire documentary called Inside the Labyrinth, an original making of, and a couple other goodies. Just a great set. Okay, and that's what I mean when I say like standard quality. For the consumer. We got Dances with Wolves. This is the extended cut. I really love Waterworld. I even have a soft spot for The Postman. I've never really dived into the extended Kevin Costner filmography. Looks great. We got The Majestic. I think I bought this so I could have a loaner. I already have a copy of this movie, but I adore it. Frank Darabont's probably most... It's probably his most questionable movie. Does it give you the emotional gut punch of Shawshank or the soulful gut punch of Green Mile or the visceral gut punch of The Mist or even the first season of Walking Dead? No, but it's very sentimental. It's very Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's very Meet John Doe. The plot is extremely contrived, and you probably watched the trailer and say to yourself, no wonder it flopped. But there's something really magical about The Majestic. And in an interview with Robert Rodriguez, Frank Darabont talked about that, about how there's something really special about the way people respond to this movie. This looks awesome. Okay, this is a slim case. This is like a crap, when DVD was really bopping, really cooking with gas, there were companies that would nab up movies either for cheap or they would nab them because they were improperly copyrighted. And they would pump out like $1, $2 DVDs that you would see at the dollar store or even like at Walmart in the checkout stand or whatever. You would see these cheap ass DVDs for a while, sometimes even in gas stations. Well, I spotted this, and this caught me because it's got Mark Hamill and Jason James Richter. So you got the star of Free Willy and Free Willy 2 and 3, I believe, and you got the star of Star Wars. In a science fiction movie, 250 million years ago, a carnivorous superspecies planted a crop of humans on an uninhabited planet known as Earth. Now, the alien life form has returned to harvest its yield. All right. Warner Brothers Archive Collection, shout out. You don't see these that often. Usually if somebody buys an archive collection, it's for their collection. This is Drop Dead Gorgeous. Phenomenal, campy, late 90s, early 2000s. Let's see, what do we got here? 99. This is, in the late 90s, dark satire. It was in. As stuff got dark, because there was a certain escalating pattern of like edginess to a lot of media, and so in order to kind of stay with the game, Drop Dead Gorgeous just hit it out of the park by being very very aggressive towards beauty pageant culture. I mean, I have there's it's right here actually. Contrast. Why did I pronounce it that way? Contrast that with a movie that I adore. I'm not throwing shade at it. This is Beautiful. Beautiful is a movie about a woman who has spent most of her life trying to become Miss America, and she's like really selfish and full of herself. And her sister gets really sick, and her sister is a single mother, and she's forced to take care of her niece, who's played by I think it's let me look. Okay, I figured it out. The little girl is the same little girl that was in the movie Polly, and her name is Haley Eisenberg. This is a very heartfelt drama about beauty pageant culture, the cost of it, what it means to like be like a mother figure, what it means to be a woman, and all that type of stuff. It's really good. I love it. I used to watch this with my grandma, and we both adored it. But we also watched Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a very in-your-face, aggressive takedown of the exact same culture. And I think you kind of see the culmination of maybe film's critique of this culture when Little Miss Sunshine comes out about 5 years later. And once Little Miss Sunshine touches it, and eventually Bad Grandpa lampoons that, pretty much everything that movies have to say about beauty pageant culture seems to have been said, until somebody can come up with something else. There's always the next wave. I look forward to what they can do. Midnight Special, this is just supposed to be a really neat kind of sci-fi drama. I love Michael Shannon. Always give Michael Shannon a shot. I picked this up in Pueblo. The name of the thrift store was Boyer Brothers Secondhand. They had a pretty awesome selection of DVDs, and I ended up getting the next 4 from them. Legend of 1900. Sounds interesting. Got a documentary, Secrets of War, Shadows of the Third Reich. I do really like World War II stuff. I don't really buy it as much as I used to. Cocoon, Ron Howard, this bad boy is out of print, so I nabbed the DVD when I saw it. Fences. This is an amazing story. Fences, which is incidentally directed by Denzel Washington, also starring him, along with Viola Davis. This is a movie that has to be seen to be believed. If you have ever had one tense conversation with a parent, you owe it to yourself to see Fences and see how it plays out, because the conversations in this film, the dialogue, the impactful characters, it's a beautiful thing. It's an adaptation of a play, and the play itself is powerful. But Denzel Washington certainly brings it to the cinematic space in a really powerful way. Okay, we got Poltergeist 2 and 3. I do have a VHS copy of Poltergeist 1. And then let's see. Ooh, Wrong Turn. This was kind of a reclaim thing. I used to have this DVD of Wrong Turn, and I rewatched it numerous times. I always loved it. It was a great horror movie. It's kind of its era. It's hard to describe, but it's kind of that post Kevin Williamson era. So you're moving away from the self-aware, meta, edgy, young teenager horror, and you're moving into efforts to remake, reboot some of the more visceral, maybe like 70s type horror. And as a result, you end up with stuff like Wrong Turn. It's very much like the Hills Have Eyes remake is kind of what I'm thinking of. I dig it. It's not my favorite era. Not every movie from that era is fantastic, but you get some that really stand out. And this is one of them. It got a ton of sequels. And I did not know America Ferrera had just been making films this long. This is from 2005. It's a movie called Real Women Have Curves. I think I had heard of this movie, but I never actually watched it. I don't think that I consume a lot of media that's from the perspective of Latinas, and so I was pretty excited to check it out. So all these are going in the collection. Some records. All right, these were bought. I think these two. I don't know where this one came from, but it's sitting with the records. So we'll start with this. This is the, I want to say Ilima sound. I said that so bad. I can already feel it in my heart, but it's okay. This is a like Hawaiian music album, and I think one of the things that stands apart from it is it at least appears to have a reasonable mixture of what appear to be Hawaiian musicians. Because a lot of the time when I find Hawaiian stuff, there was a period where it was just like a very generic sound that was mined by American musicians who got nothing to do with Hawaiian culture. So I was hoping that this would be a little bit more authentic. I was with some friends up in the town of Nederland, and there's a really cool place called Boogie Records. Really cool place, ran by a really cool dude, has an adorable dog. And I bought these two albums from him. This one is called The Strawberry Statement. It's a Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young record featuring additionally songs by Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Neil Young separately. Buffy Sainte-Marie and Thunderclap Newman. It just looks like a really cool set. I got it for a really reasonable price, and I've really been digging on some Neil Young lately, and Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young by extension. This is a live album called The Jacksons Live. So this came out right after Michael Jackson had released the '79 album Off the Wall with Quincy Jones, which is the album that blew him up into the '80s king of pop that people know of him as. And this is from the tour that happened after that album had released and after the Jackson 5 had put together an album and released it. An album called Jackson 5's Triumph. And so I was pretty stoked to find it, used for a reasonable price, and it's got a gatefold, it's 2 records, and it's got some pretty good highlights like Off the Wall, She's Out of My Life, got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and of course you got I'll Be There. So, few records. As I've said, I don't look for a lot of records, but when I find ones that interest me for a reasonable price, I will pick them up. Another Colorado thrift store, because that's the state I live in, is way out in the town of Sterling. And it's less of a thrift store and more of like a media store, like a record store. It is called Casey's Tapes and CDs. This place blew me away. I went on a day trip with my mom for laughs out to Sterling because I had heard of it and I'd driven by it, but I had never actually spent any time in the town, and I love checking out thrift stores in small towns. And so decided to hit it up, and Casey's Tapes and CDs is like a record store. He has a pretty good selection of mostly tapes and CDs, so you get a lot of cassette tapes and a lot of compact discs, but he has a selection of a few other things. Laserdisc is a format I collect. I haven't talked about it much in this video, and this is going to kind of be the big vein of Laserdisc that I'm going to go through. At Casey's, I found 3 pretty awesome Laserdiscs that I wasn't even really looking for. So, got a deluxe letterbox edition of Poltergeist. I found 2 like made-for-TV horror films. We got Dollman vs. Demonic Toys, which clocks in at a staggering 64 minutes and just looks like cheese gold. It's the same actor from Trancers. It's another full moon flick. And then we also got a movie called Breeders. Never heard of it, but it's an invasion flick. And it looks equally ridiculous. Looks like a direct-to-video, or in this case, direct-to-Laserdisc type of situation. It's time to pray. And pray is spelled P-R-E-Y. This is a blast. Okay, this one I just... It's kind of representative of a place that I've bought a number of Laserdiscs at, and I want to shout them out. It's called Video in Aurora. The exclusively video store out there in the Front Range. There are other fantastic media stores that are more hybrids of record stores and video stores. But if you're just looking for a store that purely only sells videos, those are getting rarer and rarer, and Video delivers. They have a Laserdisc section, a VHS section, a DVD section, and they have like genre-specific sections. I can't speak highly enough of them. As you can tell, I really like them. Well, I was there, and I stumbled across this film. Flubber. Robin Williams, Flubber. I'm sure some people are like, why? You know, it's not necessarily Robin Williams' most famous film. It's not what he's like, you know, frequently brought up for. But I adore this movie. This movie came out when I was in like elementary school. It's a Robin Williams star vehicle with a lot of visual effects, and it's from this kind of weird era where Disney was experimenting with reviving its science fiction streak. So they did this with Nutty Professor. They did the television show My Favorite Martian into a movie. They did Rocket Man, which was like a low-key remake of The Reluctant Astronaut. And so they had this really fun era where they were bringing back a style of Disney movie that honestly I didn't even really appreciate or experience. And nonetheless, I adored Flubber. I remember the Movie Surfers doing a lot of specials on the CGI because the little Flubber creatures are really impressive for the time. It was like a very heavy CGI movie. It's very late 90s, and it's very late Laserdisc. It wound down in the late 90s. Some of the really, really expensive titles are movies like The Matrix, which came out at the tail end of that era, and Flubber is pretty close to that. And as a result, it was $20. I think it's the most expensive Laserdisc I've ever bought. But I was really excited. It's a widescreen copy. It's beautiful. I love the green design. It's got it's got to me like a very Frutiger Arrow kind of vibe to it. I don't know. I love it. It was one of my big finds, and Video made it possible. I have a number of Laserdiscs from them as well as VHSs. I'm sure some of the VHS tapes that I look at and I say, oh, I'm not sure where I got this, a few of them probably came from Video.